Shalom, family and friends. Once again, Facebook live late night lesson brought to you none other than by Shabar Judah Israel. Please share this video with your family and friends. I know many of you is asleep, but those of you that are not in the bed, for the meantime, if you can spawn in. But if you can't, then I over enter and understand. And so, Shabar Israel, the topic of discussion, I'm going to explain what does rain symbolize. R-A-I-N, rain. What does it symbolize? I'm going to explain, guys. So I'm going to break down the meaning of rain. So the topic of discussion is rain. I'm going to break this down. What you're going to need for this lesson, you're going to need a King James Bible, composition book to take notes, and a pen. All right, guys. And so I'm about to start it off. Be sure to subscribe to my channel on YouTube as well. You can go to YouTube and type in Shabar Israel, and that's SHABARISRAEL, Shabar Israel, and you will see the Solid Foundation logo in the back concerning YouTube, and just go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you will, and help spread this truth. Okay, we see Brooks is watching, man. Zaza Brooks. Wisdom to you, my brother. Hope all is well. Ox says just in time. Thank you for your support, man. I thank you for your support and sharing the videos with many others. Yeah, man. So the topic of discussion, Brooks, the topic of discussion, I'm going to explain what rain means. Like it's drizzling, like when it drizzles from the sky, like when it rains, you know, every now and then we'll get a shower to come in. So I'm going to explain what rain means. We see Santonio Gibson, peace and much love to family and friends. Santonio Gibson, thank you for being part of this wonderful lesson. So let's go into the King James Bible, y'all. If you got your Bibles out, go ahead and grab your Bibles and let's get ready to go on into it. Okay, so once again, this is my Bible. This is my Bible right here. Okay, guys, I customized it. This is my Bible, and we about to go into King James Holy Bible. So I want you to go to Genesis chapter 2. I believe this is Genesis chapter 2. I believe so. Genesis chapter 2. Go to Genesis chapter 2. I'm going to explain what rain means. This revelation was given to me earlier today, and I'm going to explain it. So Genesis chapter 2. I'm going to read Genesis chapter 2, verse 1, and now I go on down. So it says, thus the heavens and the earth was finished. This is Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth was finished, and all the hosts of them. Genesis chapter 2, verse 2. And on the seventh day, the gods ended their work, which they had made, and rested on the seventh day from all their work which they had made. Genesis 2 and 3. And the gods blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it had they rested from all their work which the gods created and made. Genesis 2 and 4. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord of the gods made the earth and the heavens. Or you can say the gods of that, or you can say the gods of the Creator. All right. Now, this is what I want you guys to pay attention to. Brooke says, "Did you mean to invite me? I was coming online." Okay. All right. All right. Hopefully you tune in. So this is This is Genesis 2 and verse 5. Genesis 2 and verse 5. All right. Listen up. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth. So the gods that belong to the Creator has not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. So what I'm trying to point out to you guys, that in Genesis 2 and 5, we can see that back then that it never rained. Okay, Genesis 2 and 5. It says, every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the gods of the Lord had not caused it to rain upon the earth. So we can see in Genesis 2 and 5 that back then, the individuals, the inhabitants of the earth, they never received rain from above. It never rained back then. Genesis 2 and 5 clearly tells you that the gods has not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. So if it never rained back then, how did the plants and the herbs, how did they get nourished? Genesis 2 and 6. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So we can see back then, dealing with Genesis verses 5 and 6, we can see back then that it did not rain from above. It never rained. They never received rain. The inhabitants of the earth, the people back then, never received rain. They never received any drizzling, any raindrops from above, because they didn't know what rain was, because it never rained back then. And so we can see how the gods of the Most High was taking care of the plants, because the reason how they was doing it, because the water, there went up a mist from the earth, just like early when you wake up. When you wake up early, you know, you go outside and the ground be wet. When you rise up early, you go outside, the ground be wet. You see the dew all over the face of the earth. You see the dew. That's what was going on back then. This is how the plants and the herbs, this is how the crops was nourished. A mist came up from the face of the earth and watered the ground and watered the plants. And this is Genesis 2 and 6. So before we move on, it never rained. You never had rain coming down from above back then. But we know eventually rain came on the scene and started falling from above. So what does rain represent? Notice, guys, the rain only came dealing with the account of Noah. The rain only came during the days of Noah, because during the days of Noah, we know that iniquity, transgression, abomination was going on. So during the days of Noah, that's actually when rain, it would rain for the very first time, because people didn't know what rain was, because it never rained from above. So during the days of Noah, we know about that story. The Most High, he caused it to rain from above. And I'm going to show you this. So let's skip over and deal with the story of Noah. Watch this. Okay, guys, here we go. This is Genesis chapter 6. All right. Genesis chapter 6. And let's look at verse 11. So this is Genesis chapter 6, verse 11. And the earth was also corrupt before the gods, and the earth was filled with violence. So we can see during the time of Genesis chapter 6, verse 11, it states that the earth was filled with violence. Genesis 6, verse 12. And the gods looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. That's Genesis 6 and 12. So it tells you the gods looked upon the earth and seeing how corrupt and seeing how wicked it was. Genesis 6 and 13. And the gods said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence, and through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. So we can see in Genesis 6 and 13, the gods conversed with Noah and told Noah that the end of all flesh is come before them, for the earth was filled with violence. It was filled with iniquity, man. And says that they will destroy mankind from the face of the earth. So the question is, what element did the God use? What element did the gods use to destroy mankind from the face of the earth? They use what you call H2O. Because we know H2O is hydrogen and oxygen, which create water. So we know that this was the element that was used in during the days of Noah to wipe out all mankind. But remember, it never rained from above. It never drizzled from above. We showed you that whenever the plants was nourished, whenever the herbs was nourished, it said in Genesis 2 and 6, there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So people never knew what rain was. But when they start sinning, during the days of Noah, Santonio Gilson, Brooks, right? When the people start sinning during the time of Noah, the God said that they was going to destroy man from the earth. And what did they use? They used H2O, hydrogen equals plus oxygen, which is water, to wipe out the face of the man. Watch this, guys. And so we're going to show you. This is Genesis 6 and 17. Genesis chapter 6, verse 17. And behold, I do bring flood waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. So we can clearly see in Genesis 6 and 17, the God said they was going to bring flood waters upon the earth to destroy all the flesh, and everything that has breath was going to die. We can see that, right? We can see that, right? Now, we're going to move on. Watch this. This is Genesis chapter 7, verse 1. It says, and the Creator, Yahweh, the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteousness before me in this generation. And he also told Noah to take animals in there. We know the story about Noah's ark. We know the story, right, guys? We see Kamaya Yasharal. Kamaya Yasharal is watching. Appreciate your time, my brother. Appreciate your sacrifice time to be part of this wonderful lesson. The topic of discussion, we are just breaking down what rain means. When we get to drizzling, when the rain begins to fall, what we call precipitation, when it begins to rain upon the earth, I'm going to break down really what rain means. So we can see right here in Genesis chapter 7, verse 1, and the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for I have seen righteousness before me in this generation. Okay, now watch this. Let's skip down a little bit. So let's go to Genesis chapter 7, verse 4. This is Genesis chapter 7, verse 4. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. See, so that's the first time the inhabitants of the earth ever experienced rain falling from above. Nobody back in the days of Noah and before, it never rained on the earth. That's what I'm trying to explain. So back in the days of Noah and before Noah's time, people did not know what rain was. People did not know what drizzling and misting and raining was, because it never rained back then. It clearly states in Genesis 2 and verse 6, but there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So we can see that it never rained back then. Before the days of Noah and prior to Noah's time, it never rained. Genesis 2 and 6. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. So you had dew that came up from above. You had dew that came from beneath the earth and watered the plants and the herbs. It never rained back then. But now we're experiencing the first time that it rained. And this is Genesis chapter 7, verse 4. It says, and for 7 days I will cause it to rain. I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made, I will destroy off the face of the earth. So, yes, during the days of Noah, this was the first time the people ever experienced rain. This was the first time the people ever experienced water falling from the sky. Because before that, nobody never experienced water falling from the sky. Because the water came up from the mist. Water came up like a mist, and it nourished the earth and it watered the plants. All right, guys. So why did it rain? Why did the gods call rain? Why did the gods cause rain to fall upon the earth during the days of Noah? Because rain, guys, rain represents a time of distress. Rain represents destruction, mourning, weeping, sorrowfulness, remorse. That's what rain represents. Rain represents a time of suffering and weeping and crying. That's what rain represents. So when we receive rain, rain represents weeping, crying, destruction, and suffering. That's what rain represents. Why would rain come upon the earth and kill many individuals upon the earth? Why did the gods in Noah's time cause rain to fall upon the earth to drown out and kill many individuals? Because let's back up. Let's back up. Genesis chapter 6. Let's look at Genesis chapter 6, verse 3. And the Lord, the Creator said, Yahweh said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Genesis 6, verse 3. The Lord said that his spirit will not always strive with man. Now, why did the Lord say, the Creator say that his spirit will not always strive with man? Because it was because of the wickedness man was indulging in. See, watch this. Genesis 6 and 5. And the gods saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination and thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. Genesis 6 and 6. And it repented the gods that belongs to the Creator. It repented them that they made man on the earth. And it grieved them at their heart. See? And the gods said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air. For it repented me that I have made them. Genesis 6 and 8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So we can see exactly why it began to rain during the time of Noah. Because of the wickedness. That's what rain represents. Rain represents destruction, mourning. It represents weeping. Rain represents a sad time. That's what rain represents. Rain also represents judgment, because rain is an acronym. R-A-I-N. Kamari Yashara. Do you know what rain means? Brooks, do you know what rain means? Santonio Gibson, do you know what rain means? Rain is an acronym. R-A-I-N. Rain is an acronym. R-A-I-N, and it stands for rain. R-A-I-N. This is what it stands for. You guys ready? Releasing anger in numbers. Releasing anger in numbers. That's what rain stands for. Releasing anger in numbers. Releasing anger in numbers. Because what the gods did, they released their wrath and destruction on the inhabitants of the earth during the days of Noah. So the gods that caused it to rain upon the earth during the days of Noah, they release their anger, they release their wrath, they release their destruction upon mankind for the abominations and transgression and wickedness. All right, guys? All right? So, once again, rain, R-A-I-N, is releasing anger in numbers, because that's exactly what the gods did. And notice, guys, notice when it begins to rain, one drop does not fall from the sky. Notice that it rained in numbers. Notice that it drops. Notice that the droplets comes in numbers. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So when you see precipitation, when you experience precipitation, what they call rain, notice that when it rains, one drop never falls from the sky. The droplets comes in numbers. So that's why they say when it rains, it pours, because it don't rain droplets. The droplets comes in mass numbers. That's why rain is releasing anger in numbers, because those droplets that comes down upon mankind, it represents wrath and destruction. That's what it represents, guys. This is why it never rained during the days before Noah. It never rained during the days before Noah and prior to the days of Noah. It never rained. It only started raining during the days of Noah when mankind decided to turn away from the Heavenly Father and indulge in wickedness. And as a result, he sent rain down to do what? To kill mankind. He sent rain down. He released his anger in numbers. The gods released their anger in numbers. Rain, R-A-I-N, releasing anger in numbers. They released their anger upon man and flooded out mankind and killed mankind for the transgression and wickedness. So when it rains, now I hope you enter and understand, when you see rain falling upon the earth, that represents the gods that release their anger in numbers. All right, watch this. I'm going to show you furthermore proof. All right. So this is Genesis chapter 7, verse 4. For yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth, 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made, I will destroy from the face of the earth. So we can see that the gods was going to wipe out mankind by using the element water, rain. Okay, now let's continue on. So let's look at Genesis chapter 7, verse 11. Brian Carter, peace and blessings to you, my brother. Appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you, my friend, Brian Carter. Let's look at Genesis chapter 7 and 11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 7th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven was open. See that? Genesis 7, verse 12. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Now, why was it rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights? Why was it rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights? Please tell me. Why was it rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights? Because that rain represents the releasing of the anger that came from the gods upon mankind. That was their anger that was residing upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. That was their wrath that was released. That was residing upon the earth 40 days and nights. All right. This is why it rained. This is why it rained 40 days and 40 nights. This is exactly why it rained 40 days and 40 nights. Because that was a period of the wrath that was being released from the gods. That was a time that was a time period of destruction. Because we know that 40, the number 40, the number 40, is an esoteric number, and it represents trial, represents a trial period. That's what 40 represents. It's an esoteric number. 40 represents testing and trial period, a period of testing and trials, and it was time for mankind to be tried. Like in the sense of a court case, you go to trial. Okay, this is when mankind was on trial for the transgression of the laws of God. All right, guys, let me grab something right quick. I'm going to show you. Now, notice that the flood began to take place in what chapter in the Bible of Genesis? What chapter in the Bible of Genesis did the flood begin to take place? Wait a minute, guys. What chapter in Genesis did the flood begin to take place? The flood took place in the 6th chapter of Genesis. Now, I'm going to show you guys something. Watch this, guys. I'm going to show you something. Wait a minute, guys. I'm going to show you guys something. You see this paper before you, right? Now, I'm going to write a 6 because we know that the flood took place in the 6th chapter of Genesis. And this is facts in the Bible. When you read about the flood during the time of Noah, you're going to read about it in Genesis chapter 6. Now watch this. So I'm going to write a 6. Y'all just bear along with me. I'm drawing it out. Y'all stay with me. Now, y'all see this? Now, what you see is raindrops falling from above. And you see people that's on the earth crying out. Because remember, during the time of Noah, mankind never experienced raindrops falling from above. Because it tells you in Genesis chapter 2, verse 6, that a mist came up from the earth and watered the plants. So this is the very first time during the days of Noah that mankind started to experience raindrops from above. Now, this is raindrops falling from above, and it's falling on the earth with the inhabitants thereof. It's falling on the earth with the people. Now, what is that right there? What did you look very closely, guys? Look very closely and tell me what you see. Brian Carter, look very closely and tell me what you see. Kamaya Yasharal, look very closely and tell me what you see. Zaza Brooks, look, Santonio Gibson, look very closely and tell me what you see, guys. If you don't recognize what's going on, I'm going to make it very clear to you. Watch this. All right. What you see is the number 6. See, that's what creates a 6. The rain that fell from above on the earth. The circle in 6. When you see that circle in 6, that circle represents the earth. And when you see that line in 6, that line represents the droplets that fell from above. Because you can write you cannot, if you can write a 6 this way, but typically how people write a 6 is coming down first. They come down like this. They come down and then they loop. You see what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? They come down and then they loop it over. They come down. Now, when you write a 6, why do you come down and then loop it over? Because that's the rain that fell from the heavens. That line right there, that line in the number 6, that line when you're going down with that line, that's basically rain coming down on the earth. This area right here in 6, it represents the inhabitants on the earth. And that line that's coming down is the rain that was falling down during the time of Noah and flooding out the people. And so this is why you read about the flood in what chapter? What chapter do you read about the flood? What chapter do you read about the flood? You read about the flood in Genesis chapter 6. You read about the flood in Genesis chapter 6, because that is the true meaning of the formulation of the number 6, because it depicts the rain that fell from above on the earth. It depicts the rain that fell from above on the inhabitants of the people. Thus, the raindrops coming down, and we see the landmass, which creates a 6. And so in Genesis chapter 6, we already know. You read about the rain coming down. The rain coming down and killing numerous people. All right? See that? Killing numerous people. I'm giving you the esoteric knowledge that many other brothers would not be able to give you because they're not on this level. They not on many Hebrew Israelites don't study esoteric science. I study esoteric science. I study quantum physics. I study metaphysics. I study astrophysics. I study all areas of physics. So I'm able to give you certain things that other Hebrew brothers and elders can't give you. Now, is that to say I'm better than everyone? Absolutely not. Is that to say I'm better than somebody just because I know certain things other brothers don't know? No, I'm not better than nobody. I'm not better than anyone. All right. It's just I happen to know certain esoteric knowledge that many brothers don't know about. And I'm telling you about Genesis chapter 6. So we can see that it never rained upon the earth. It never rained upon the earth before Noah's time and prior to Noah's time. But when mankind started committing sin in the earth, the God sent the flood upon the earth and killed everything. We'll show you this. Watch this. This is Genesis chapter 7, verse 17. So this is Genesis chapter 7, verse 17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and barred up the ark, and it was lifted above the earth. Genesis 7 and 18. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. You see? Watch this, guys. Genesis 7 and 19. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all high hills that was under the whole heaven was covered. So there was a mass flooding that took place. Genesis 7 and 20. 15 cubits upward. A cubit is 18 inches. A cubit is from your middle finger to your forearm, which is 18 inches. So it says in Genesis 7 and 20, 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains was covered. So this was high water upon the earth. Genesis 7 and 21. Now, here's the golden verse. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowls and of cattle and of beasts and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. It says that all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and cattle and of beasts and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. Genesis 7 and 22. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life of all that was in the dry land died. So everything died. The only people that survived was 8 people. And that was Noah, his 3 sons, and his 3 sons' wives, and Noah's wives. Noah, his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, his 3 sons' wives, including Noah's wife. It was only 8 people that survived this flood. The flood drowned and killed everything else. Now we know that Noah had animals in the ark as well. He had like unclean and clean animals of each kind, male and female, in the ark. We know that during the days of Noah, it says that all mankind was drowned. So it was only 8 people. It was only 8 people. 8 people only remained. I'm going to show you this. Let's go to 2 Peter 2 and 5. So we go into 2 Peter 2 and 5 as a precept. 2 Peter 2 and 5. It says, and spare, this is 2 Peter's in the New Testament 2 and 5. And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. So we can see in 2 Peter 2 and 5, he spared not the old world, but he saved Noah, which was the 8th person. So why was Noah considered the 8th person? Because it was only 8 people that survived the flood. You can also go to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 20. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 20. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 20. Which sometime was disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, wherein a few, that is 8 souls, were saved by the water. So we see that it was only 8 people, that it was only 8 humans that was saved by the flood, man. Every other human being, they died. So what does rain represent? For the last time, what does rain represent? I'm writing it down now. This is what rain represents. Let me flip the camera. Rain, R-A-I-N. Releasing anger in numbers. Rain, releasing anger in numbers. Because this is exactly what the gods did during the days of Noah. The gods from above, in Genesis chapter 6, the gods from above release anger in numbers. And that anger in numbers that the God released was those various droplets that fell upon mankind and drowned and killed mankind and spared 8 people. So rain stands for releasing anger in numbers. Now, I know America don't gave you a whole nother definition. I know they tell you something totally different in Babylon, because we know Babylon is nothing but full of lies in the sea. But this is the true esoteric meaning. This is the true esoteric acronym for rain. Rain stands for releasing anger in numbers, because this is what the gods did. They released their anger in numbers when they decided to flood the earth with various droplets that fell upon mankind. So I'm giving you the whole truth, nothing but the truth, man. All right. Also, rain stands for weeping. Rain stands for weeping, a time of weeping, a time for mourning. Now, let me give you another esoteric meaning what rain stands for, because we already showed you, guys. Now, we already showed you, I broke down the analytics behind the number 6, how the number 6 was formulated. I broke down the analytics behind that. And actually, guys, what I didn't tell you, guys, look at Genesis 7 and verse 6. Look at Genesis chapter 7, verse 6. Genesis chapter 7, verse 6. It says, and Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. This is Genesis 7, verse 6. So in Genesis 7, verse 6, it says, and Noah was, there it go again, and Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters was upon the earth. Going back to that 6. Genesis chapter 7, verse 6 tells you that Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters was upon the earth. Going back to that 6, because that 6 represents the droplets that fell from above. Even when you spell out waters, you get 6. Watch this. Just stay with me, guys. Waters. Even when you spell out waters, you get 6. It says Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. When you spell out waters, you get 6. Because the waters the waters fell from above on the inhabitants thereof, the waters. So you got 6 there, even in waters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in waters. The waters fell from above on the earth, which creates the 6. Genesis 7 verse 6 tells you that Noah was 600 years old when the waters, 6, fell from the earth. From above. So guys, I'm giving you revelation and free game, man. Now, the scary thing about this, let's talk about this and then I'm going to close out. Zaza Brooks, Brian Carter, Kamaya Yasharal, Santonio Gibson. Let's talk about this. Guys, I don't want to spook you out. I don't want you to be afraid of this. You don't have nothing to worry about, man. But we do need to know this. Rain, I told you, stands for releasing anger in numbers. So the gods released their anger in numbers and flooded out mankind and killed mankind, spared 8 people. Now, there's a reason why 8 people were spared, because the number 8 represents infinity. And I'm not going to get into all that, but the number 8 represents infinity. So it was 8 spared, guys. All right, let me show you. So when it rained upon the earth, when the gods released their anger in numbers and droplets, and they accumulated and killed mankind upon the earth, all mankind was killed upon the earth in the flood waters. But there was 8 spared, because 8 represents infinity. This is why the number 8 has no outlet. Okay. As you can see, this is why the number 8 goes like this. It's 8 and 0 are the only numbers that do not have outlets. 8 and 0 are the only numbers that represents infinity. So the only 2 numbers that represents infinity is 8 and 0. This is why 8 people were spared, because it represents infinity. So when you're drawing the 8, the number 8 has no outlets. It has no outlets. It represents infinity. You see? So this is why 8 was spared. So much for the 8, because I ain't trying to get into the 8. Now, guys, I need to break something down to you. I need to talk about the cosmic terminal. I need to talk about the cosmic terminal in terms of sowing and reaping. So let's go to Galatians 6 and 7. Let's go to Galatians 6 and 7. In the New Testament, Galatians chapter 6 and 7. All right. Galatians 6 and 7. It says, be not deceived. God is not mocked. It should have been the gods. Be not deceived. The gods is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall also reap. Now, this is also in reference to releasing anger and numbers from the gods, because that's what the rain symbolizes as well. Galatians 6 and 7, be not deceived. The gods are not mocked, because everything that you're doing is getting stored in the cosmos. It's getting stored in the cosmic terminal. All right. This is why the stars, the elements, the moon and the sun was created. This is why the luminaries was created, because they are known as the Akashi elements, or what you call the Akashi records. You ever heard of the Akashi records? It's Akashi records. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the Akashi records. You ever heard of this? Akashi records? Akashi is a Sanskrit word which means the ether, or it means sky. Okay? So Akashi just means sky. That's what it means. Akashi, it just means, it's the Sanskrit word for sky, and it's just sky records, Akashi records, because every little thing that you do on this 3-dimensional plane, better yet known as Earth, is being recorded. And what you call the cosmic terminal is keeping record of what you do, whether it's right or wrong. It's keeping records. So guess what? The negativity that you upload. Why is the word? Why Why is this term called upload? Wait a minute, guys. You see this? It says upload, because we upload a lot of negativity in the Akashi. We upload a lot of we upload a lot of negativity in the atmosphere. We put a lot of negative shit out in the atmosphere. So when you upload lots of negativity in the cosmic terminal, guess what happens, guys? When you upload, guess what happens? You receive a download. Watch this. So when you upload, you receive a download. When you upload, you receive a download. This is why the numbers 6 and 9 represents the number 6 and 9 represents divine justice. The will of divine justice. The number 6 and 9 represents sowing and reaping. 6 and 9 represents sowing and reaping. Because it represents whatsoever a man soweth shall he reap. That's why over time the 6 must become the 9. In time, the 6 must become the 9, because 6 and 9 also represents sowing and reaping. Okay? You see that? Brooke said it looks like the hurricane or a storm. Exactly. It's a cyclone. Like a cyclone. Like a vortex. You see? It's a lot of stuff in nature that you can learn, because a hurricane and a cyclone. The reason why a hurricane and a cyclone, the reason why they spin like that, because it represents what man has sowed, he will reap. So if you get a cyclone or a hurricane through your city, a cyclone or a hurricane, a tornado comes through your city, it comes through in the form of a vortex, because it represents what you have. It represents what you have sowed, you will reap. So the number 6 and 9 represents divine justice of sowing and reaping. So you can upload a lot of shit and it's going to download on you. Now watch this. Watch this, guys. Watch this. So when you upload, because I'm drawing it out so you guys can see it. I'm drawing a guy that's robbing this other guy. So I'm drawing that a guy is getting robbed. A guy is getting robbed, y'all. Now, I'm going to show you how this works. Y'all just battle on. I'm going to show you how this works. A guy is getting robbed. Now, watch this. Pay close attention. Okay, see down here? A guy is getting robbed. This guy has this other guy at gunpoint, and he's getting robbed, right? Now, what the guy that's doing with the gun, what the robber is doing, he's robbing this guy for his money. But little do he know that this is negative energy. So all this negative, let me show you what happens. So this negative energy, it goes up. I'm going to show you what happens. All this negative energy is going up into the ether, which is the Akashi. That's what the Akashi records is, the negative doings that has been stored in the luminaries that that individual has formulated or instituted. So this guy is being robbed. So this guy that's putting out this negativity, this negative energy is being sent up into the ether, what you call the Akashi or the sky. And now guess what? The sun, the moon, the stars, they keep track of the negative energy that you upload. They keep track of the negative energy that you upload. And over a matter of time, guess what happens? Guess what happens over a matter of time? It downloads on you. Now I'm going to draw it out. So let's say 6 years late. Let's say 6 years later. I'm drawing it out, guys. Battle along with me. 6 years later, this is what happened. It comes down. So now, 6 years later, Now, the guy that robbed the guy at first, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Y'all just bear along with me. I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to show you how it works. Watch this, guys. All right, remember we was talking about the guy with the gun sticks up the guy and takes his money. What he did not know, because he thinking he can rob somebody and get away with it, but you don't get away with shit, because everything you do gets stored in the Akashi. So this negative energy that he sent forth, this negative energy, he uploaded this. He uploaded this negative energy into the ether. So once he uploaded this negative energy in the ether, 6 years later, he received the same shit he uploaded. He received a download. So when he uploaded negative energy, he received a download. And 6 years later, that download came back on him. And then he ended up getting robbed and shot. See? That goes to that 6 and 9. That goes back to that number. That's why I told you the number 6 and 9. The number 6 and 9 represents the art of sowing and reaping. So when he uploaded this negative energy, 6 years later, he received the download and the same shit happened to him. And then he got robbed and he got shot and killed. So that represents the rain. That represents the rain. Because that's why I was telling you about the rain. Remember I was telling you about the rain? See, the rain is the same thing. The rain is the same thing. Because when you living crazy and you living like a savage, you doing all this wickedness and this abomination and sin, all you doing is uploading negativity. You uploading like the guy right here. You uploading negativity. You accumulating negativity. See, so when you uploading all this negative stuff, you mistreating others, raping girls and robbing men and stealing and killing and doing all this negative shit. When you doing all this transgression and abomination, all you doing is uploading negative energy. And this negative energy, it gets stored in the Akashic. You create negative records, and then it's just a matter of time for it rains back down. That's what rain. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what rain represents. Releasing anger in numbers, because the gods release their anger in numbers. The gods are making sure what you uploaded, you get back in return. The gods are making sure that negative energy that you sent out is being uploaded, and the gods are making sure what you uploaded, you're gonna get in return. So when you receive that download, you receive that rain. You receive that rain in your life. You receive that terrible storm in your life. You receive that tempest in your life. Just like the people during the days of Noah. See, so guys, I hope I was a help to you. That's why when you upload negatives, when you do like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's belongings. You know what I'm saying? When you reject the commandments, and when you choose not to walk with God, and when you reject the commandments, little do you know, you send up all this negative shit in the ether. So you sending up all this negative energy because you choose not to be obedient to the law. You send up all this negative energy. Once you send up all this negative energy, guess what happens? It accumulates. That's why you got a cloud called a cumulus cloud. Watch this. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you. You ever heard of this cloud called, I could be spelling it wrong, cumulus. Look it up, guys. I might spell it wrong, but look it up. You have a cloud called cumulus clouds. Now there are many different clouds, but I'm just naming one. This could be misspelled, so look it up, but I know what I'm talking about. You have a cloud called the cumulus cloud. Why you think they call it the cumulus cloud? Because the word cumulus comes from accumulate. So when you accumulate something, what happens when you accumulate something? You pile up something. You store up something. You are storing up something. So this is where the word cumulus comes from. It comes from the term accumulate. So when you send out this negative energy, you want to rob people, you want to rape, you want to steal and kill. All you're doing it's sending all these, you uploading all this negative shit in the Akashi, in the ether. And so when you upload all this negativity, it accumulates, which this is where they get cumulus cloud from. It accumulates, and once it accumulates, it's just a matter of time before it download and come back down and hit you. It's just a matter of time before you receive that download. And that's what happened in the days of Noah. See, the people in the days of Noah, they was doing all this sinning on the earth. They was doing all this sinning on the earth. And let me tell you, keep in mind that during the days of Noah time, it never rained during the days of Noah. So when the people during the days of Noah was doing all this sinning, what they was doing, they was uploading all this negative shit. When the people of Noah time was killing, stealing, homosexuals, lesbians, having sex with creatures, worshiping gods and doing all this shit, the people in Noah time, all they was doing was uploading all this negativity. And this is why, finally, many years, because the Most High gave these people, Noah preached for. How many years Noah preached? I think he preached for, wait a minute, let me see. How many years did Noah preach? I believe he preached for 40 years. Wait a minute, guys, I got to find that. 70 years, I believe. Let me see. It says, my spirit will not strive with man. He should, no, 120 years. I'm sorry. 120 years. 120 years. Okay. So Noah preached. I'm going to draw. Okay, guys, just bear along with me. I'm drawing Noah. Just visualize this as Noah. So I'm going to put an N for Noah. So Noah preached 120 years. He preached 120 years. So guess what, guys? 120 years, these people were sinning and doing all kind of wicked shit. So 120 years, all that negativity, they were all that negativity for 120 years Noah preached, all that negativity they were storing up. All that negativity they were storing up. They were storing this stuff up in their Akashi. And then over a matter of time, it came all back down on them in the form of rain, and it flooded all of them out. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. So you can say in Noah's time, truly, the people that was killed in Noah's time, they drowned in their own tears. All that water that was upon the earth, that was a representation of the people. They drowned in their own sorrowfulness. They drowned in their own remorse. They drowned in their own tears. Because when they were sinning and grinning, them 120 years Noah was preaching, they didn't weep. They didn't repent. All those 120 years Noah was preaching, these people didn't weep. They didn't repent. They didn't mourn. So guess what? All that negative energy that they sent up, all that negative energy that they sent up 120 years while Noah preached, eventually all that negative energy came back down to pay them back. Thus, you have rain releasing anger in numbers. So guys, I hope that was very clear to you all. I hope you guys received some insight on the esoteric meaning of what rain means, what it symbolized. I hope you guys was blessed on tonight. Zaza Brooks, Brian Carter, Kamaya Yasharal, Santonio Gibson, Zaza Brooks. I hope all you guys was truly blessed by this lesson on tonight. Even if you don't believe everything that I'm saying, guys, it's no big deal. If you don't believe everything I'm saying, I mean, just do your own research, man. Just seek it out for yourself. If you don't believe everything that I'm saying, I don't expect for you to believe everything overnight what I'm saying, because it takes time, especially for an individual that's new to this truth and new to the esoteric science, and that's new to quantum physics and the etymology of words and all this stuff. You don't have to believe all this stuff overnight, okay? Just take what you can and help others, man, okay? Just take what you can and help others. Pray to the Most High and seek knowledge and wisdom. Seek Seek knowledge, wisdom, and over entering understanding, and you will see, man. Zaza Brooks said, the Most High in Christ bless. Okay, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, Most High in Christ bless to you all. Till next time, please share this video with others. Shalom.